Okay, so I have a question to start us off today.
Oh, yeah.
What is actually scarier? Is it, an unknowable tentacled monster from another dimension screaming into the void?
Okay.
Or is it a government committee meeting that decides exactly how to manage that monster using key performance indicators and a PowerPoint slide deck?
That really is the central question, isn't it? We
Right.
usually think of horror as something that breaks the rules of our reality. It's the impossible breaking in.
Right.
But what happens when the horror becomes the rule? When the monster doesn't want to destroy the government, but actually wants to become the prime minister?
And that is the terrifying sweet spot we are aiming for today. We are taking a deep dive into the conclusion of the Laundry Files series by Charles Stross.
Specifically, the novel The Regicide Report.
And we're pairing that with a really fascinating essay called The Banality of Eldritch Evil.
And before we go any further, we really have to drop a massive, glowing neon spoiler warning.
Yes.
We are discussing the ending of a very long-running series. We're talking the fate of major characters, the fate of the British government, the whole 9 yards.
So if you are currently reading the series and haven't finished the Regicide Report, you need to pause this deep dive right now. Consider yourselves fully warned. So our mission today is to explore a very specific kind of nightmare. Not the kind that jumps out of a closet, but the kind that files paperwork.
The kind that asks you to fill out a form in triplicate.
Exactly. We're looking at how cosmic horror transforms when it stops trying to destroy the world and starts trying to run it.
Right. And to understand that, we have to look at the main idea of that essay, the banality of eldritch evil. It argues that early cosmic horror, Lovecraft, the classic stuff, it all relied on the idea that the universe just didn't care about us.
We were insignificant, like
Okay.
ants next to a boot. If we got stepped on, it wasn't malice, it was just scale.
Precisely. The universe was vast, cold, fundamentally unknowable. But the essay argues that contemporary horror has shifted.
Yeah, so.
The scary thing now isn't the unknowable. It's the legible. It's the bureaucracy. It's the idea that the universe cares only about continuity. The system must keep running no matter what.
So instead of Cthulhu rising up to eat everyone, Cthulhu rises up and creates a human resources department.
In a way, yes. The horror isn't extinction, it's management. And the Regicide Report is the perfect case study for this.
So let's set the scene. Where are we at the start of this book?
Okay, so the world Bob Howard, our protagonist, is living in it's not the Britain we know.
That is a serious understatement.
For anyone new to the setting, the UK government has been effectively taken over. The Prime Minister is a guy named Fabian Everyman.
Except he's not really a guy,
No, he's the avatar of the Black Pharaoh, an elder god also known as Nyarlathotep.
which is a slight escalation from your typical politician.
Some might argue it's not that much of a leap, but what's fascinating here isn't just that a monster is in charge, it's how he got there.
Right, he didn't kick down the doors of Parliament with an army of zombies or anything.
No. And this is the key insight from the sources. The Black Pharaoh didn't conquer the UK, he got elected. He rules through what's called an elective dictatorship.
I loved that detail because it's grounded in real political theory. It's referencing Lord Hailsham's idea from the 70s that a government with a strong majority can basically do whatever it wants.
Exactly. The monster didn't smash the machine, he inhabited it. The horror is compatibility. And the setting Stross paints, it just reflects this perfectly.
The visual that stuck with me is the skull rack. You have civil servants worrying about payroll and coffee runs, and then right outside their office at Marble Arch, there's a giant Aztec-style rack with the skeletons of dissidents.
And people just walk past it. That's the critical part. It's become background noise. The essay points out that the civil service adapts as if it were just another corporate reorg.
Oh, we're serving a dark god now. Okay, I played the org chart. Who's my new line manager?
That is the banality in the title. Hannah Arendt meets Cthulhu. But things are about to get a lot more chaotic because the new management is facing a crisis.
The inciting incident, Queen Elizabeth II is poisoned.
And in a world of necromancers and combat mathematicians, the weapon they use is terrifyingly mundane.
Dimethylmercury.
A contact poison, pure chemistry.
Wait. In a world full of magic, they just poison her tea. It feels almost insulting to the genre.
It highlights the vulnerability of the old symbols. Magic can stop a spell, but maybe it misses a molecule. But the government's response, the Black Pharaoh's response, is where the bureaucracy really kicks into high gear.
Operation Ferris.
Operation Ferris. which sounds like a PR campaign, but it is definitely not.
They aren't planning a funeral, are they?
No. The Prime Minister of the Black Pharaoh cannot allow the Queen to die. Not yet. So he brings in a specialist, a character named Professor Phibes.
Who is a great horror movie deep cut, by the way.
A necromancer and a surgeon. And his job is to place the Queen into suspended animation in a high-tech glass coffin inside Westminster Abbey.
Very Snow White. But let's get to the why. Why all this trouble? The Black Pharaoh is a god. Why does he care about the Queen?
This brings us to the mana economy. It's a crucial concept. In this universe, magic isn't just waving a wand. It also runs on belief. Belief is a form of energy. It's called mana.
So if you have millions of people focusing their attention and belief on one person,
that person becomes a battery. The Queen has been the monarch for over 60 years. Millions of people believe in her, or at least in the institution she represents. That psychic weight accumulates. She's a massive walking reservoir of magical power.
She's a nuclear reactor of belief.
Exactly. And the Black Pharaoh, being an elder god who feeds on this stuff, wants to control that battery. He doesn't want that power just dissipating.
So it's a resource grab.
It is. He wants to secure his reign. If he keeps her frozen, he maintains the status quo. He maintains the elective dictatorship.
So the stage is set. You have a poisoned queen, a glass coffin in Westminster Abbey, and a god-run government trying to hold it all together.
Enter our heroes. Or maybe assets is the better word.
Yeah, let's stick with assets. We have Bob Howard, our series protagonist. He started as an IT guy, but now he's a high-level necromancer, the Eater of Souls.
Which is a heck of a job title for a guy who just wants to fill out his timesheet correctly.
Right. And then there's his wife, Mo Dr. O'Brien. She's a combat violinist.
And that is not a metaphor. She wielded a white-bone violin. And in this book, the history of that instrument is critical. It's named Lecter.
As in Hannibal Lecter.
Yes. Because the violin eats souls.
Of course it does.
It's a sentient instrument made of human bone that actively wants to kill its owner. It's not pleasant.
And it's back in play for this operation. That tells you how desperate things are. But this all leads to the counterplot. Because someone inside the system decides, no, this ends today.
Mike Armstrong, the senior auditor, Bob and Mo's boss. He realizes that if the Black Pharaoh succeeds, he'll become a full god on Earth. His rule will be permanent. Unstoppable.
So Armstrong clans a rug pull, but, and the essay really hammers this point, he's not a knight in shining armor. He's not trying to save the Queen to restore democracy.
No. This goes back to that idea of non-redemptive choices. Armstrong decides to sabotage the ceremony, but his trap requires sacrificing innocent people. It requires absolute chaos.
He's not choosing good. He's choosing a less catastrophic equilibrium.
Exactly. He's choosing a different kind of monster to fight the current monster. It's strategic, not moral. He's doing the math, and the math says, burn it all down.
So the climax, Westminster Abbey, the suspension ceremony, the Queen is there, the Black Pharaoh's watching, the orchestra is playing.
And in the orchestra is a woman named Volnavia. She's supposed to play a specific violin to facilitate the spell. But Armstrong has switched the instruments.
She's not playing a normal magic violin.
She's playing Lecter, the soul eater.
Oh, no.
And Lecter does what Lecter does. Instead of gently siphoning a little energy, the violin violently drains the Queen. It sucks that massive 60-year reservoir of belief right out of her in seconds.
And that much energy. It has to go somewhere.
It spools. It flows downward into the crypt of Westminster Abbey.
This is where the book just gets absolutely wild, because who is buried in Westminster Abbey?
Kings, queens, centuries of British monarchs.
And if you saturate old royal bones with massive amounts of royal belief energy, what do you get?
You get the Gashadokuro.
Which is what, exactly?
It's a creature from Japanese folklore, a giant skeleton. But here, Stross gives us a royal Gashadokuro. The bones of ancient kings, Edwards, Henrys, they all fuse together.
And the centerpiece of this bone monster, the once and future king.
The irony is just thick. The prophecy says Arthur will return in Britain's hour of greatest need. Well, he returns.
But not as a savior.
No, he rises as a kaiju-sized, multi-limbed skeleton monster made of dead royalty. He steals the crown jewels, puts on the crown, and just starts rampaging through the church.
It's the ultimate subversion of the national myth. You want the monarchy to save you. Here's the monarchy literally stripping the flesh off the living. It's chaos.
A total disaster. But it's a calculated disaster. Remember, this is Armstrong's plan. The chaos wasn't the goal.
It was the fuel.
The chaos was the fuel. Armstrong wasn't just trying to wreck the church. He was using that massive burst of mana to make a phone call,
To who?
He was trying to summon a rival elder god, the King in Yellow.
The King in Yellow versus the Black Pharaoh. It's Godzilla versus Kong, but with sanity-blasting deities.
That was the gamble. He hoped the two gods would destroy each other, leaving humanity to pick up the pieces. But he underestimated the system. And he underestimated the Black Pharaoh.
Because the Black Pharaoh Fabian, everyman, he doesn't panic.
He steps in, he sees what Armstrong is doing, he takes Excalibur, and he sacrifices Mike Armstrong.
He kills the traitor.
He executes him. And he uses the power of that sacrifice to slam the door shut. He banishes the King in Yellow. He destroys the Bone Monster. He rebinds his control over the entire situation.
So Armstrong lost.
Yes and no. And this is where the essay's analysis is so crucial. Armstrong stopped the Black Pharaoh from becoming a full god right then and there. He forced him to expend a huge amount of power.
So he slowed him down. He prevented the game over screen.
He forced a stalemate. But look at the cost. To stabilize reality, the Prime Minister establishes debt, the Department of Existential Anthropic Threats. He declares martial law. He consolidates his power even further.
So the system just absorbs the shock?
Exactly. The apocalypse arrives as equilibrium. The essay puts it perfectly. The horror is that evil doesn't need to win, it only needs to fit.
Wow.
The Black Pharaoh wins because he is compatible with the machinery of the state. He protected the state from this other monster, so in the eyes of the public, he actually saved the day.
Even though he's an ancient evil entity.
Because he is an efficient, ancient, evil entity. He provides continuity. The stock market probably rebounded the next day.
That is genuinely chilling. It reframes the whole idea of saving the world. The monster saves the world so he can keep owning it.
Precisely. And what happens to our heroes? Bob and Mo survive, right? But what does that survival look like?
Well, the source material is pretty bleak on this point.
The essay describes them as becoming infrastructure. Bob and Mo are trapped. They're sworn to the service of the new management. They are cogs in this machine. The Queen is frozen in her coffin, neither dead nor alive, just a battery on standby.
It's a functioning dystopia. The trains run on time, but the conductor is a nightmare.
And that is the diagnosis the essay leaves us with. In traditional horror, the world ends. In bureaucratic horror, the world keeps going, but it strips away your humanity to do so. Bob and Mo have to do terrible things just to maintain the status quo.
Because the alternative is even worse. It's harm minimization as a lifestyle. You don't get to be a hero, you just get to be the guy who stops things from getting slightly worse today.
Precisely. The system doesn't ask them to be good. It doesn't even ask them to believe. It just asks them to be competent, to process the paperwork, to manage the monsters.
Which brings us right back to that skull rack at Marble Arch. You walk past it, you keep your head down, and you go to work.
Because the terror isn't that the system breaks. The terror is that it keeps running, and that you help it run.
Wow, that's a heavy realization. It really transforms the genre from a scary story into, like, political satire with teeth.
It does. It suggests that the structures we build, governments, bureaucracies, are perfect vessels for monsters because they're designed to prioritize the system over the individual. The Black Pharaoh didn't need to change the UK government much. It was already shaped like him.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Obviously, we aren't dealing with eldritch gods in government. Hopefully. But there's a resonance there.
I think the final thought the essay leaves us with is a challenge. We live in a world of massive, complex systems that often feel beyond our control. Systems that sometimes seem to survive their own moral failures.
The essay asks a really poignant question. How do we live, choose, and refuse misattributed blame inside machines that will keep running no matter what we believe?
It's a heavy question. Armstrong tried to break the machine and failed. Bob and Mo tried to survive inside it and lose pieces of themselves. There is no clean answer.
No clean answer. Just the choice to be aware. To notice the skull rack, even if you can't tear it down. To recognize when continuity is being used as an excuse for horror.
Awareness doesn't absolve us, but it might be the last dignity available.
Well, on that cheery note, this has been a fascinating look into the Regicide report. It's a story where the monsters win, not by eating us, but by employing us.
And giving us a pension plan.
Exactly. Thanks for taking the deep dive with us.
Thank you.